whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
For those that imbibe, thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. I am back. Thank you to everybody, and of course to Kim for stepping in for me yesterday while I was at my second job. We have a very fun show on this 420. Hoping Ngaio Bilam, writer, cannabis activist, podcaster, comedian, can join us. Although I emailed him this morning and I was like, look, I know what day it is. If you busy in quotes, don't even worry about it, but hopefully he comes on and we could talk about some things in about 10 minutes or so. We'll also have the San Francisco Chronicles Emily Hoeven. She's with the editorial board. She's an opinion columnist. She's been a fabulous regular guest on our show. And we're going to get into the Dianne Feinstein pressure to retire or step down. And Emily kind of has this timeline that is quite specific on when Feinstein should make that decision. So we'll get into that as the pressure on the senator grows. We'll talk a little bit of weed, I don't know how to say it. A little bitty bit of weed. There you go. I swear I haven't been smoking. But I'm sure a lot of Oakland A's fans are either drinking, smoking, or doing something to drown their sorrows because, yep, that whole rooted in Oakland was a bunch of BS. It doesn't even, we'll get into this. The statements, and Emily Hoeven will also be weighing in on this because she was really upset about it. The whole statement just, in my opinion, blatantly shows they were never planning on staying. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. And I do want to just say this right off the top, by the way. Lori, thank you so much for the $55 super chat donation in honor of Andreas and his family. She says we send our deepest condolences from Lori and Mark. We do as well. If you haven't heard the news, Andreas has lost both of his parents. Heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. The Mark Thompson Show, the Nikki Medoro Show, all of our family here, our community, our hearts go out to you, Andreas. If you're watching or you're watching in replay, my heart breaks for you. I can't even imagine. But thank you so much, Lori, for that donation to the show. And again, if any of you want to donate like Lori does or has, the super chat is up and running. That's where you donate during the show or even during the replay. We read your comments and we go back and read your comments. Some of you, if you do that, may notice I'll either give it a heart or I'll even comment back to you about it. So just look for the $ under the live chat box. And that's the way that you can donate. A free, simple way of supporting the show, of course, is to click that thumbs up button. It's right below the box, right there. And it helps expose our show to other people that may have not found us yet. And then the number one way, and I have received the notifications. I love ya. The Medorable Crew, the monthly Patreon subscribers, is growing, and we really need this money. It's basically the consistent money. This is a crowdfunded show. We don't have a salary. We don't have dedicated sponsors, and so it's you. As much as you want the show here, we want to be here. I do appreciate you guys rolling with me as I train for my new job. Those two things are going to be separate. And so this show is this show and that job is that job. And, but I just appreciate you guys understanding that I might not be here in the same amount at the beginning, but some consistency should be coming hopefully in the near future. And I'll let you guys in on when the show with myself will be live and when Kim can fill in and I'll be doing shorts and I'll be posting stuff on the channel anyway, but yeah, the show will be evolving, but I hope that you guys still love having us here. I love communicating with you. And so if you want to keep it going, please become a Medorable, as I call my crew, and just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and the links to the Patreons there. We have a PayPal link for those of you that want to do PayPal. It's the email is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And so you can find that plus merchandise, the Nikki Medoro shop really, really easy to find that as well. And yeah, I really do appreciate you. Oh, in addition to Lori, let me just give a shout out to Rick for another $25 donation. Rick, you guys have been so generous. And I really do appreciate you guys. And so does Kim McAllister, who we welcome to the show. I was saying happy 420, Kim.
Hi.
Even though I have a sneaking suspicion that you do not partake in the 420.
I don't, but I can appreciate those who do and give a little happy 420 day to you.
Was this anything that you did in your past?
No, I tried it, but it never really
Yeah.
didn't
You
really
didn't
provide
inhale?
the oomph that I will tell you, and you laugh at me because I am ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
I did have trouble breathing in anything other than air. Like I just can't, my body doesn't work that way.
Your body will not inhale smoke is what you're saying.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
purpose.
So
Yeah.
you're like one of those people like you would hit it and then it's like you're not even breathing it in. It's just going right back out your
I
mouth.
just can't.
It's God in your throat being
Yeah.
like, be gone, devil weed.
I mean, I'm sure I could learn how to, but I just didn't spend that much time on the endeavor. So
you know what? If you
Yeah.
don't, you don't. And
Yeah.
more power to you. Full disclosure.
But I think if I
complete
had
opposite, yeah.
I think if I was sick or had an ailment, like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
that where maybe I needed to gain weight, clearly not my problem. So if I had that issue, then maybe I would try harder, right?
Well, you could also do
Yeah.
edibles. You know what I'm saying? So you
Right.
don't have
Yeah,
to
that's
inhale
true. And
anything.
my neighbor has lotion that he says really helps his back and his knees. It's
Yeah,
THC
I mean,
lotion or something.
yeah, so they
CBD
have the
lotion. I don't
CBD
know.
lotion. So
Yeah.
THC is the part that gets you high, right?
Right.
CBD doesn't. And I know a lot of people. I know that some people give it to their pets because their pets, you know, have arthritis or something like that.
Right.
It really is interesting how far we've come and how far we actually still need to go when it
Yeah.
comes to marijuana legalization. I mean, what today I think a number of cannabis business owners are demanding the federal government finally legalize it at the national level. The fact that it's not really, really hurts their business, and it makes it difficult to protect themselves against thieves and robberies and things like that, because you can't just put your money so directly into the banking system.
Yeah.
Because obviously the bank is regulated by the federal government. And so, yeah, Kim's saying there's no need to smoke. Some people like the smoke though. I mean, some people like
Right.
smoke the plant, the flower, whatever
Yeah.
that you want to call it. Yeah, I don't smoke weed that much anymore. I mean, maybe if I'm at a party, I might, but not really. It was more of my college days. Yeah, it was a fun time.
We were somewhere. I forget where we were. Oh, we were at the pharmacy
Mhm.
picking up a prescription when we were sick a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And Julia looked at me, my 13-year-old daughter, and said, "It smells like pot in here."
And how does she know what pot
That's
smells
what
like?
I said. She said,
Yeah.
"Mom, it's everywhere. How do you not know what it smells like?" And I was
You
like,
know
"Well,
what?
I know what it smells like, but how do you know what it smells like,
That's so funny that you
sister?"
mentioned that. So I'm driving my son last week to his parkour class. It's kind of the same thing. And there's this billboard on the way there, and it said something to the effect of like, your electricity is high or gas is high, your weed is expensive, but your weed shouldn't be. Something is expensive and your weed shouldn't be. And my son looks at that sign. He's like, "Oh my God." He was totally offended. He's like, I just don't think that that's something that should be on a billboard. And I go, yeah, I mean,
It's legal now. Why not?
Legal though. And
Fair game.
he looked at me like I'd lost my mind. He's like, "It's legal?" And I go, I mean, and then I was like, shoot. But yeah, I'm like, yes, it's legal. You can't use it until you reach a certain age. I'm like, you don't want to do it especially when you're young and your brain is developing. It's just like alcohol and everything like that. And then if you do choose to partake when you are older, moderation is key. You don't want to be a
Right.
stoner.
Or maybe you do.
Or maybe you do. You know what? I'll say this. If you could be a productive stoner, more power to you. Because I'd rather you be a productive stoner than a productive drunk.
Here's a
'Cause-
productive stoner. We've got Ngayo. He might pop in. You never know
Yes.
with him.
I
It's like he
emailed
says-
him. Yeah, I
He says
emailed
he'll
him.
come by, but then you don't know when he's coming, and you don't know. But whatever happens, you're just so glad to have him when he arrives.
Exactly.
So he's got a comedy show though. Ooh, let me put that back up. That is, he had one yesterday and he has one today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought it
so
was
it's
tomorrow for
tonight.
some reason. Okay.
He had one last night in Santa Rosa. He's got another one today. And I think it's also in the North Bay. It's at the Coyote Valley Casino, it looks like.
Ooh,
Anyway, so yeah,
that would
so
be a fun time.
that's another show.
I wonder if
Pretty
the
good.
room would just be filled with smoke, like
Probably, yeah.
I bet you. I mean, there are some concerts I've gone to where you don't even need to have your own. I know. I love
Yeah.
that picture. I saw that on his Twitter account. That's so funny. 419, 420. There you go. So yeah, Hippie Hill in San Francisco is going to be a busy place. I mean, we have that on top of the Giants and the Warriors, right? Is it all three that are happening
Yeah,
today?
Warriors tonight too.
And so it's going to be busy if you're driving in our neck of the woods of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into Emily Hoeven should be joining us in just a few minutes. We're going to talk about Dianne Feinstein. But the other thing that I want to have her weigh in on, because the social media posts have been heartbreaking. I am not a baseball person. I'm just not. I'm a Niner fan. I don't really watch many sports unless it's like important. And then not that I'm a bandwagon, but I'll watch the game with you because it's important or whatever. But the news that the Oakland A's are moving to Vegas is just.
Does it make you sad?
I mean, I don't really have much skin in the game. I think it's disappointing. I wanted to see the waterfront stadium. I thought that would be great. But, our friend and fellow colleague in San Francisco, Chris Filippi, I mean, now he's a spokesperson for, is it Bart? It's Bart, right? I'm not even kidding. I almost started crying of posts, social media posts about the A's leaving. And just kind of to put it in a nutshell is how much the A's helped him get through kind of tough points in his childhood, and then how he shared his love and taking his daughter to the game. And apparently so much so that one of his kids actually got to introduce some of the players during an A's game. And I believe from the social media post, his kid is going into sports journalism. So it's all of this. It was just such a, and I read it and I was like, oh my God. Because if it was my Niners, I would be crying. Now, I know some of you are going to try to pull this nonsense that it's the same as the Niners leaving San Francisco. One, very common in football for players to have a team name of a city that they are not actually, that their stadium is not in. Very common. So don't come at me. And two, it's not a completely different state. Okay. So, I mean, I understand Northern California and Southern California if we were going to Los Angeles, but Jesus. And how much of a rivalry is it now between the Bay and Vegas right now? It's just stop taking all of our teams, damn it.
I guess that's the end of the Bay Bridge series, huh?
Yeah, and it's just, the thing is, it's not so much, the sport, it's the fans. It's taking fans for granted, because I am telling you, I do not believe the passion that fans have can be transferred to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has so much competition, right? It's like you could see an amazing show, you could see Adele, or you could see the Oakland A's. I mean, or the Raiders, for instance. The Raiders, it's very hard for the Raiders to have the home field advantage because so many people come out of state. Let's go to Vegas and watch our team play in Vegas, not let's go to Vegas necessarily to see the Raiders play. And the same crap is going to happen to the Oakland A's. So I'm disappointed for the fans. I really am. I think that for people that loved that team and really wanted them to stay and were invested in it, I really do. I feel for them. But that the message from Mayor Shang Tao was quite kind of brutally harsh. This is what she said. She said, "I'm deeply disappointed. The A's have chosen not to negotiate with the city of Oakland as a true partner in a way that respects the long relationship between the fans, the city, and the team. The city has gone above and beyond in our attempts to arrive at mutually beneficial terms to keep the A's in Oakland. In the last 3 months, we've made significant strides to close the deal." I'm going to stop it right there. Like, that has to be, that would chap my hide, as they say, because you're negotiating in good faith and they're going around behind your back. She went on to say, "It's clear to me the A's have no intention of staying in Oakland, and I've been simply using this process to try to extract a better deal out of Las Vegas. I'm not interested in continuing to play the game. The fans and our residents deserve better." And I could not agree more. I think it's so sad, especially with all of the hoops and blah, blah, blah that we've gone through. We're bringing her on to talk about Senator Dianne Feinstein and the pressure to leave or to retire, to step down. But I want to go to San Francisco Chronicles' Emily Hoeven, who's on the editorial board, because I also know that you had some pretty strong feelings about the Oakland A's leaving the town. It really sucks.
Yeah. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Kim.
Hi.
And yes, I surprised myself by being flabbergasted and furious about this decision. When I read about it last night, and it was surprising to me because I'm not like a diehard baseball fan.
Right.
But the more I thought about it, I'm like, I spent a lot of my life in that stadium. My family are diehard baseball fans. We grew up going to the A's. I mean, there's literally pictures of me and my brother as little kids with Stomper. There's pictures of me reading books in the bleachers and not watching the game, but I was there, and it's just, we went on the field with my brother's baseball team at one point.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like so many things like that. We traveled with them for spring training for several years. My parents recently had season tickets and like we went to games. And so it's unfortunate to sort of feel like they really had no interest in actually respectfully engaging with fans. And the fact that, they kind of signed this deal seemingly covertly. And then the Oakland mayor is blindsided by this, and then Dave Caval's like, well, we're still open to a dialogue. And I'm like, I don't think that's true if you signed a deal. And it's just funny to me because it made me think back on all these memories. Years ago, I worked as an intern at the Business Times in San Francisco, and one of the speakers we had at our events was Dave Caval. And this was like early on. This was early after he had accepted the position. And he was talking about, his vision for Oakland and like all the new ballpark he wanted to do and all of that. And I remember at the time, I was like, this seems doubtful that it's going to happen. And I just felt like I could sense that he really wasn't that invested in it. And it just really seems like he was kind of stringing us all along for years.
Yeah. Exactly. And I was really excited about it. I love the drawings of what it would look like. I really did feel it would change. Now, the mayor's obviously said they're still going to redevelop this area, but it's not going to be an attraction like a ballpark. And when you lose, technically they lost the Warriors because obviously they're in San Francisco, and definitely the Raiders to the same city. It's just, it's salt on a wound. And I feel for A's fans. I think that they're taken advantage of, both A's fans and Raiders fans. And I don't know if they're not going to be the big game in town in Las Vegas. They're going to be one of a million things to do in that city.
Totally. And I mean, you just think about all the infrastructure that was kind of developed around the stadium, right? Like, I know taxpayers are still paying off some of those improvements from 1995, when the Raiders were there, and they had already promised to help subsidize the construction of the new A stadium, right? And then you have the BART station, which is right there, and you had all those homes going up around it. I know partially that was to get into the city, but still, I mean, it's like, what's going to happen? And I just think that, there's a long cultural history and tradition that they had in Oakland, and to go to Vegas. I don't know. It's just,
you're not going to Vegas? No.
I mean, no, of course not.
Not just for that though. It's just not just to see the A's, right?
It makes me bitter, and like I feel bad saying that because I don't want to be bitter, but I'm kind of like, again, I'm like, do you know how many hours I have sweated on those plastic seats? Like I can't comprehend it. And the stadium and the team were not always good, right? Like they've been really bad recently. I mean, they had money issues. Like that's where Moneyball came from. Like the fans have been loyal with them for so long. We never had the best amenities. We never had a fancy stadium. We weren't always playing well, but people showed up, and it's just it's ridiculous to me that the team could at least not be transparent about their intentions, because I think to negotiate in bad faith and covertly is just really disrespectful, honestly.
I agree. And it's got to be painful. And so bye A's, don't let the door hit you on the way out, I guess. Now, talking about, obviously leaving and being an institution somewhere, let's transition a bit to Senator Dianne Feinstein. I have very mixed feelings. Kim and I have discussed this several times. I have very mixed feelings about the message, not only going to the senator, but coming from her team. So the San Francisco Chronicle editorial board, you wrote a great article you were talking about how you had in the past had a conversation with the senator about calls for her to retire. What did she say then, and how long ago was that?
Yeah. So, just a couple of like quick things. So the editorial board of the Chronicle talked with Feinstein about a year ago. I think it was literally April of 2022. I was not a member of the board at that time, but the article that came out of that conversation, she had basically been addressing concerns following a lot of reports that showed that, she had declining mental acuity and her memory was really bad. And a lot of these comments have been made anonymously, by other lawmakers, by former staff members, expressing these concerns. And so she sat down with the editorial board and they talked about it. And she basically said, look, like, I show up for my constituents. I'm voting. I have a great attendance record. I'm meeting with people. I'm regularly present and all those things. And so when I was looking at these latest calls for her to step down, because she's, been absent for about 2 months due to complications from shingles, I referred back to those comments because it was a pretty clear indication that, she's not currently abiding by the standards that she had laid out for herself a year ago. So my inclination on that was, well, maybe that's a sign that it's time for her to step down. But I did want to also talk with someone who understands shingles, because I think that is a key part of this conversation. And the reason I say that is because everyone that has called on her to step down, including Ro Khanna, a congressman from Silicon Valley, have explicitly referred to shingles, explicitly referred to her medical absence and the fact that it has blocked the Judiciary Committee from confirming certain judges as a reason for why she should resign. They have not said it's because she's too old. They have not said it's because she has dementia. They have publicly said her absence is too long. And so I'm like, okay, well, what is the typical absence for shingles, right? Like, if that's the criteria that we're examining, what is it? And according to the CDC and according to some medical professionals that I spoke to, most people will recover from shingles within a month, but about 20%, it takes longer. And that's usually if you're older, which obviously Feinstein's 89, so she falls into that category. And they said that basically a really key mark is 3 months, because 3 months after your diagnosis is when it becomes clear if this pain is going to become chronic. And the pain can be very debilitating. Like you'll have to take narcotics and a lot of pain meds. And so, but before that 3 month mark, it could just disappear one day, or it could stay and it could become chronic. So, he basically said to me, that's a good point to evaluate, whether or not her condition will prevent her from returning to the Senate. And so what I argued for in my column was, based on this and the fact that she's 2 months in, yes, it is a long time. But to be fair, a lot of other senators have been absent for long periods of time. John Fetterman, Pennsylvania, was out for clinical depression. Mitch McConnell, I believe, had a concussion and was out for a long period of time. They're humans. They fall sick. They have issues the same way any of us do. And
is it sexist, do you think? I've been, the issue has been raised that when men have illnesses, they're not called on to resign. They're likely given awards. Whereas when women have illnesses, like, you're out, sister, you've outlived your usefulness and you're gone.
I do think that subliminally that may be part of it, because I think that it's just easy to be like, oh, like, she's past her prime. She's out of it. She's old. And I'm like, well, let's look at the age of the current president, right? And the past president. And okay, maybe you can make the case about their mental acuity being different, but that's not what we're talking about here, And Mitch McConnell is out. He's not a spring chicken either, clearly.
Right.
Do you
think that they're purposely not talking about her mental acuity? I'm talking about like people like Ro Khanna, but that is the underlying thread. You can't ignore the fact that there has been, by just you're talking to her a year ago, there's been a year at least long call for at least concern about the fact that she may be going through dementia. My concern, as one of her constituents, is, does she have, or is she in the right mental state to even self-reflect on herself in the position she is in with shingles? I mean, okay, you have shingles, but is your mental acuity there to analyze the situation, the health situation you found yourself in order to make the best decision politically and for the state of California? Those two things, in my opinion, can't be separated, because even though Ro Khanna doesn't want to say dementia, mental acuity, because it makes him look bad, everyone's thinking that. Everybody's thinking she this is on top of all of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, it does make sense. And I think that, you know, that's something that is going to be difficult for us to evaluate. I mean, we're not in her mind and her body knowing what's going on. But I will just say that I think Feinstein has been a target of her own party for a long time. You know, in 2018, the California Democratic Party did not endorse her. They endorsed her more progressive challenger, Kevin De Leon, who we all know now has his own problems.
Oopsies.
Exactly.
Right. And, you know, she got a lot of flack for, I believe, hugging a Republican senator during the confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh, right? Like, she is sort of seen as out of touch with a lot of current Democrats, where we're in this very black and white system where the left hates the right, and like working across the aisle is seen as something that should be, you know, bad and condemned. And I think for a lot of folks, it's this idea of she literally is just like out of touch with reality. She represents a different class of people, an old time, like it's past time for her to step down and someone more in tune steps in. My response to that is she won re-election, right? Like, the California Democratic Party didn't endorse her and she still won. And I think it's kind of interesting to me that everyone now is saying she should step down. Like, no one wanted her to begin with. And I'm like, that's objectively not true. That's objectively not true. She won the election fair and square. Everybody knew how old she was. Everybody knew that she was moderate. Like, it's not a big surprise, you know? And so I think that there are I'm not going to say that the concerns about her mental acuity are not well-founded. I mean, I think they very well might be. But I do think that there are also very strong political ambitions that are going on behind the scenes. And there's a lot of people that have not wanted her there for a long time, at least 5 years. I mean, her own party not to endorse her.
I mean, but Ro Khanna endorsing Barbara Lee and then being one of the strongest voices to call for Feinstein to step down seems a bit rich. It's so clear where he's trying to go. What do you think, just on Barbara Lee possibly getting named by Governor Newsom, who has said he's going to, appoint a Black woman if he does have to appoint someone if Feinstein steps down? Do you think it works for Barbara Lee as an incumbent and then having to run against someone like Katie Porter and Adam Schiff and things like that if she does?
You know, I actually very firmly doubt Newsom would appoint Barbara Lee. And this is based on my own intuition. So don't take it as I have no sort of anything that would give me this indication, but it's just kind of my own perspective. The fact is, like, Newsom has already appointed one of our senators, Alex Padilla, who then, voters reelected in November. He has pledged he would appoint a Black woman. I think that he could do that. Right. But it could be someone who is not Barbara Lee. Or he could appoint a caretaker who kind of fills in the seat until the 2024 election, which is coming up. The primaries in less than about a year at this point. So I actually really don't think he wants to put his thumb on the scale the way that he did with Alex Padilla. I think that he understands that it would be viewed as questionable ethically to kind of make clear that this is who I want to fill the seat, and that person would presumably have an advantage in the election, just because even if people don't know who that person is, Barbara Lee, for example, if they don't know her, on the ballot it's going to say appointed United States Senator, and there are studies that show that when people see that, they're more likely to vote for that person just because they already have the title next to their name, right? Like, it's the incumbent advantage. I somehow just internally don't think Newsom would do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that he could find other ways to fulfill his pledge. And I think he would want to give, I think he should give, right? He should give the three candidates already in the race a fair playing field when they actually go up for the seat. But But I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. But I also don't think that I really think he is praying that Feinstein does not resign.
Yeah,
because it puts him in a bad position. It puts him in a very tricky position. And, he already got a lot of flack last year when he said that he would appoint a Black woman. And everyone's like, well, why are you assuming that, you're going to be able to appoint someone, like 2 people? I mean, only 2 other governors in California history have ever had the chance to appoint more than 1 U.S. senator. And he's already appointed 2, when you think about it, a bunch of officials in California: Attorney General Rob Bonta, Secretary of State Shirley Weber, the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court, right? Yeah. So he's had a lot of say over some of the most influential policymakers in our state. And I think even he understands that another senator might be a little too far. Yeah.
So even though they elected him to do that, that's always a thing. Go ahead, Kim.
His only move then would be really to appoint someone, should she step down, Feinstein, that would promise not to run, right?
Yes, I think that would be the thing that would be the most politically safe thing for him to do. It's interesting. Like, I've heard people float various names. I mean, they're not Black women, which would make him, kind of back off on that part of his promise. But people are like, what about Barbara Boxer? Like, she knows the job. She doesn't want to run, obviously, Yeah. What about Jerry Brown, the former governor, which I don't think he would do, because they're not really friends, right? But the idea would be that you put someone in there who understands the job, can kind of do it from day one, and is very clearly not looking to do this, for the rest of their life. And another thing that's interesting too is a lot of the Black women who are, kind of prime candidates in California are in very politically powerful positions right now, who I don't think would want to take a job where they promised to only have it for a year, right? We have Karen Bass in LA. We have London Breed, mayor of San Francisco. There's Holly Mitchell, a Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors member. I mean, a lot of these women are pretty clear that they want the job that they got elected to. And if they were going to be senator, I think they'd want to be it for a lot longer than a year.
I'm not going to pause it. Who do you like? Who do you like running in the senator race? Who do you think is the front runner? Let's put it that way.
I know, I guess in terms of money, Adam Schiff, I think, has the most at this point. Obviously, he also has the endorsement of Pelosi, which is powerful because she herself has a lot of money and a lot of sway. I think he's probably the front runner from that perspective. I mean, I think Katie Porter, obviously, she kind of brings that more millennial virality with her. She's good at social media. She's, a single mom. So I think there's a lot of folks that can relate to that. She's had to work really hard to get out the vote in her district in Orange County, which is very purple. And she kind of narrowly squeaked out a win this past cycle. So I think she understands what it means to run a campaign in California and, go door to door and things like that. And then Barbara Lee, I think, has a lot of unique characteristics. She was the only member of Congress, I believe, to vote against the war in Afghanistan. And she's never really made any bones about who she is and what she stands for. And I think that a lot of people respect that about her. She's always been very clear about her positions. And even if, no one else in the room agreed, she would follow her beliefs. And I personally have a lot of respect for people that are able to do that. Yeah. But, she does have smaller name recognition. And I think from what I remember, she has a lot less money right now than both Schiff and Porter. And in California is literally such an expensive state to campaign in that does ultimately make some level of difference.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, then going back to what we started with, why Ro Khanna seems to be really blowing the horn about Feinstein stepping down and possibly Barbara Lee, temporarily at least. Taking her place. We'll have to see. I mean, it's we only have 2 senators. And so just to kind of put a fine point on the Feinstein situation, we do need somebody working in that position. It can't be a part-time gig, especially in a state as big as California. It just needs to happen. It needs to happen soon.
Totally. And, I think that the ideal situation would be she recovers soon, within the next month at the most, and is back and is voting, and she confirms those judges, and they go through. But yeah, well, I mean, her office does continues to say, like, she's still working remotely. She's still doing this. I know her office is still working. So it's not as if, it's only one person there, but it does feel, I know many people feel frustrated by it, and it's understandable. It's understandable. I do think that after this kind of 3-month period is up, calls will intensify. I mean, even you have some no one except really Ro Khanna, who, like, a big name politician, has come out and said this. I mean, they're all saying, like, we want her to recover. She should take time. But I think that, as time goes on, it's going to get harder and harder to kind of justify that. And I agree. That's why I'm like, let's give the typical recovery period and then let's reevaluate.
Well, the reevaluation is going to be interesting. Emily Hoeven with the San Francisco Chronicle. Check out her op-eds. She's a wonderful writer. We love having Emily on the show. I won't say go A's. I'll just say happy 420, Emily. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you both so much. Great seeing you.
Talk to you again. Bye. I mean, it's a complicated situation with Dianne Feinstein, but we got to get somebody working in there 100% of the time, full time. Okay, so we're a little late for news. We'll do news in just a minute. Please click that thumbs up button. The super chat is live. I want to see give some thank yous. Linda was our latest donor. A $10 super sticker. Thank you, Linda, so much. Along with Rick's a $25 donation, and Lori with a very sweet condolences to Andreas and a $55 donation. Our hearts really go. Yeah.
So nice.
It's just really sad what happened to Andreas. He's been a huge contributor to our show as well. And so thank you to everybody that donates to the super chat. Just look for the $ under the live chat box. All right, let's do some news. And then when we come back, we will be talking about BuzzFeed. So BuzzFeed News is going away. BuzzFeed is getting rid of its news division. And you might think BuzzFeed silly quizzes. This is their news division won a Pulitzer Prize. Okay. Wow. We're not talking about, just some fluffy type of Entertainment Tonight online news organization. Okay. But what does it mean? And what did people decipher out of that statement from BuzzFeed? I'll read that. We'll talk a little bit also about working with your spouse. I wanted to get to that. But at 1:00 after Kim's news, Jefferson Graham will be talking with us.
What?
Exactly. Jefferson Graham is joining us. He's actually doing a live show. And so he's going to be doing it from there. And then his show starts at 2:00, and I will be a guest for a little bit at the beginning of his show. So you'll definitely catch that out. But let's do some news and then so much more. Oh, also, Mr. Mike Lindell. He's going to have to pay up, which I'm loving the story so much.
I was going to say, he better not be on the show.
I love it. We'll talk about all that right after the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And let us begin with Justice John Roberts, because a Democratic senator is inviting Chief Justice John Roberts to testify on Supreme Court ethics. Senate Judiciary Committee now holding a hearing next month on the highest court's ethics rules. A ProPublica report found Justice Clarence Thomas failed to disclose gifts and luxury trips given to him from Republican donor Harlan Crow, and that is what is fueling this investigation. There is a fourth suspect in custody now in connection with a mass shooting at a Sweet 16 birthday party. You can see the police tape there in Alabama last weekend. 20-year-old Johnny Latron Brown facing 4 counts of reckless murder. 16-year-old and 17-year-old brothers, along with a 20-year-old man, were taken into custody earlier this week. Mortgage rates are on the rise, and it looks like that is underway as we speak for the first time in more than a month, according to new data released by Freddie Mac. Yesterday, a 30-year fixed mortgage rate went up to 6.39% this week. That's up from 6.27% last week. And let me tell you, every point makes a difference, right? The 2 largest reservoirs in the state of California are now nearly full. And what a difference. The California Department of Water Resources released new numbers this week showing Lake Shasta is at 93% capacity. That's the highest level where it's been in 4 years. The historic rain from the wave of winter storms also left Lake Oroville at 89% capacity. Some reservoirs have actually had to release water to make room for runoff and snowmelt from spring and summer storms. So frustrating to release that water. New details are out about the murder of a Home Depot worker in Pleasanton. Blake Mose was a loss prevention agent and confronted a shoplifting suspect. That was on Tuesday afternoon, as a woman reportedly tried to leave the store through the back loading dock. Police say it turned physical, and she shot the 26-year-old, then took off in a getaway car, this woman, with her 2-year-old child in the back seat. The woman and the driver, you see here, arrested a short time later and could face more charges. The store reopened yesterday with armed security guards added there. And as Nikki was mentioning, the Oakland Athletics have agreed to buy land in Las Vegas to build a 35,000-seat stadium near the Strip. The goal is to start construction next year and move in by 2027. The A's president describes it as a very big milestone. He says it's been almost 2 years in the making and confirms that this ends negotiations with the city of Oakland. The team will be called the Las Vegas A's. And Netflix is saying goodbye, sayonara, to one of its iconic services. The streaming giant will ship out its final DVDs on September 29th. The iconic red envelopes have been bringing movies to mailboxes for more than 25 years. Who still gets the DVD? I mean, really, you guys. Who's that person?
My parents.
Are you kidding me?
No, I would go to their house randomly, and I'm almost positive very recently. And there would just be I'm like, and I even said the same thing. I'm like, why are you still getting the DVDs? Now, I should have bought stock. I was a very, very early adopter into the whole Netflix DVD thing. It was my heaven. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I can get really, top name movies and they'll just mail them to me. And I had it timed out. And at the beginning, any of the early Netflix, there was no cap. I mean, I would get 3 DVDs and I would watch 3 DVDs the same day and mail them back and get 3 more the next day. So we started like, okay, you can only get so many per week, but I loved it. And then you found out that you couldn't get all the movies online that you can get on DVD. So that's why some people kept the DVDs, because they wanted different types of movies. But my parents didn't like I guess maybe it's their age. My phone's all bright. They didn't like to go online. And so they wouldn't even tell them what movies to send. Netflix would just send it based on the stuff that they'd watched in the past.
Send us what you think we might like.
What is this movie? They're like, I don't know. It came out a long time ago. I'm like, you're paying for this, right? But yeah, my parents, that's who.
Yeah, so the DVDs are over. Here's a thought.
Okay.
Have you gotten rid of all the DVDs at your house? Because I have the TV's in a little, resting on a kind of a hutch thing where there's drawers underneath, and these drawers are filled with DVDs, kids, DVDs and movies, but we don't really need them anymore. And no one ever watches them until maybe, the internet goes out. And then if there's,
then we're going back to, churning butter.
So, I mean, do you get rid of them? What do you do?
I mean, when we moved, we went through all of our boxes, obviously.
Did you purge?
No, I live with a hoarder. So no, did we purge? No, there's a box of DVDs. But you know what I found when I turned 21 years old was the first time I jumped out of an airplane, and I found the VHS from that. The VHS from my high school graduation. All of these things I know. Don't even start. I know I need to transfer them over and do something. But there is, and we still have a VCR. We still have a VCR in our garage. So we just need to hook it up and it'll work. Yeah. There's just something to be said for it being on it. And I don't know. It's I wouldn't get rid of your DVDs. I really honestly wouldn't, especially if they're in good condition.
Yeah, they're fine. It's just, is it antiquated technology? Is it party over for the DVDs? Exactly. It is for Netflix.
Oh, Calvin makes a good point. If you don't really want or use your DVDs, you could donate them to Goodwill or your local library. The library can use them, because it's not funny, but if you go to the library I'd run a DVD, open up that DVD and make sure, because it'll be scratched to all hell because the whole world's using it, but they could always use some new ones. So that's a very good idea, Calvin.
Yeah,
Very,
it
very good
definitely
idea.
is. This report could be sponsored by you.
Good.
We are looking for sponsors. If you've got a business that you want to promote or anything really, we'll love to talk to you about it. You can email us at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And of course, the show is crowdfunded. So if you'd like to support us financially, you can do that. thenikkimedoroshow.com is the website. There you will find the links to Patreon and PayPal. And thank you for whatever you can do for us. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Do me a favor. I know that it's not noon anymore, but Ngayo emailed me. I sent him the right link.
Yeah.
But he said, see you at noon. He's like, do I have the right link? And he sent that at 12:06. So it's been about 40 minutes. Send him a message with the link again, if you could, my friend.
Okay.
And see if he could join us right now. We have Jefferson Graham at 1, but we could do him after that. I don't know if he's busy. It's okay. But if he's not, have him come on. I do want to, again, promote Becoming Adorable. And I do want to give a shout out. Hold on. Let me bring it up because I want to give the right shout out. Can I just say thank you to Ronald? I won't say your full name. Ronald just became a $100 Patreon subscriber.
Oh, that's so nice. Ronald, welcome aboard.
Thank you. And you are a Medorable with a crown. Thank you. So
look
if you want,
very cute as a Medorable.
yes, exactly. An adorable Medorable. It's better than being a deplorable. Do you see how we go down there?
Oh,
Yeah, be a
yes.
Medorable, not a deplorable, because there's
Yes.
too many of those people. Anyway, if you want to become a Medorable like Ronald, and thank you for the $100 donation. Monthly subscribers, go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, and we love it. Okay, so let me talk a little bit because of the time. You saw the Mike Lindell. You didn't do the Mike Lindell story, did you, in your news? Oh, I love this story. Mike Lindell keeps proving that he's a complete freaking moron. Okay, so Mike Lindell, back in 2021, attended or started this. It's all his fault. A so-called cyber symposium in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And the focus of it was to showcase the data that he claimed to have obtained related to the 2020 election. So he brought journalists, he brought politicians, he brought cybersecurity experts to attend it. So all these people came. Pardon me. He also announced a Prove Mike Wrong challenge. And what it would do, in anybody who could prove his data was unrelated to the 2020 election would win a $5 million payout.
Oh.
$5
That seems like a
million.
pretty easy payday.
So Robert Zeidman, who has decades in software development experience, is going to get paid $5 million. He took Lindell to court. And an arbitration panel, I should say, has ordered Lindell to pay. They say based on the foregoing analysis, Mr. Zeidman performed under the contract. He proved the data Lindell LLC provided and represented reflected information from the November 2020 election, unequivocally did not reflect 2020 election data. Failure to pay Mr. Zeidman the $5 million prize was a breach of contract entitling him to recover. You know what they call that, Kim? Lindell's mouth wrote a check that his ass did not want to cash. So he's an idiot. He's totally an idiot.
So
what? Yeah.
So Zeidman proves the data that Lindell says was from the 2020 election was actually not from that election.
Exactly.
He proves it.
Yes.
He's challenged to prove it, and he quite easily and handily proves it.
Yeah.
And now he doesn't get paid?
Yeah. Apparently he did an interview with CNN. Lindell said, this will end up in court, and slammed the media, professed the need to get rid of electronic voting machines. Lindell said he was never concerned someone might actually win the challenge. He says no, because they have to show it wasn't from 2020, and it was. He's bat-ass crazy.
I think
he's
so.
Nuts.
I think he isn't not paying because he's a bad person. I think he has serious mental challenges.
Yeah. And I don't want to make light of, drug addiction or mental illness, like he mentioned. Lindell did recover from excess being a drug addict. He's admitted it's part of his
Yeah.
story. Not saying he's on drugs again, but it does make you wonder, did he do damage? Like drugs damage brain cells. Lindell seems to have lost a few. And so I really do wonder if he's in his right mind, but apparently he's going to have to pay up. Absolutely pay up.
Here's the thing about this Zeidman guy, Zeidman.
Yeah.
He was a Trump voter.
Oh,
He
interesting.
really wanted the data to be true.
Oh,
He
yeah.
says. He's like, I wanted this data to be right. I wanted to be wrong, to not be able to prove him wrong, but I did. And so I think that's kind of interesting that, his attorney says he wanted the 2020 election data, wanted it to be that data. He really wanted it to be. He testified in the claims, Zeidman, that there had been interference in the 2020 election. And he wanted access to the data as promised to see history in the making, perhaps to see an election overturned.
Yeah, I mean, the guy can't lose. If he proves it, then Trump becomes president. And if he does it, he gets $5 million.
Right.
So there was no downside for the Zeidman guy. He was like, all right, well, but I'm wondering, how much more this can be dragged out. I just really feel like we have to slowly, it seems like we're going to have to chip away, right, at the belief system of those that are diehard Trumpers. Like the Zeidman guy, he put his all in, used his expertise, and proved to himself that Trump truly lost the 2020 election, which he did, just in case you're still wondering about that. Who was it? Somebody did it. Oh, Nick. No mention of the SpaceX launch.
Oh.
It exploded. The rocket fell into the Gulf of Mexico. Did anybody not know that? Now, do you think that... So I'm watching Succession, and I just started it. I'm on I'm just started season 2 because everybody raves about Succession. And so there's the launch explosion. And nobody was on it. Nobody died. It was a lot of money that was lost, I'm sure. But they were trying something new. These things are bound to happen. That's why they're experimental. Now, would I feel comfortable hopping on one of these rockets as a human being? Probably not. But on Succession in season 1, at the end, there's this scene where one of the sons of the main character, he's trying to rush this launch and it ends up exploding. And so everyone keeps tweeting and sharing the scene from Succession as if they're Elon Musk watching the rocket just explode. Rockets are going to explode. I honestly will give Elon Musk, who I have mixed feelings about, the whole ability and the idea of, reusing the rockets or whatever, the boosters or whatever the hell you call it, and having it land back down in that exact spot. It is amazing to watch. Every single time I see it, there is no doubt in my mind that Musk and his team of scientists and engineers are brilliant. I mean, that is brilliant. But for all the money they save by being able to reuse them, they lost on this one because that thing is bye-bye. It is completely gone. So okay, you gotta break a few eggs, right? So there you go. The House Republicans have passed that transgender sports ban for schools. And every time I read headlines like this, I go, okay, this is great. We have students, in Tennessee and in states across the country protesting for gun control, protesting to not lose their lives at school. And then, Republicans are like, the best we can do is transgender sports. Now, I know that transgender sports is a huge issue, especially for a lot of women athletes. Okay. I'm not trying to negate that it is an issue that is at the forefront. But as far as protecting students, can we start with guns? I mean, I feel like there's an easy compromise here with the transgender sports issue. I really do. I think creating a separate category is literally going to be the way they have to do it. It's where we're truly going. But can we do something about the guns after all of these headlines from the Home Depot? And that story, Kim, I know you just did it in your news. It is so tragic because the guy, the guy wasn't being paid a lot of money. He's a loss prevention guy, right? I mean, he's supposed to stand around, be in the eyes that hopefully deter somebody from stealing something. And he made a fatal mistake. He made a fatal mistake of wanting to actually do his job. He really did. And there was an interview I heard where I think one of his coworkers was saying, we're told not to interact with these people because we're afraid we're going to get shot. I mean, I want to know, did they tell you what the woman was trying to steal? It was just like some sort of power tool or something like that. Was it even worth it? This guy lost his life. He's about to get married. He was planning his wedding for this summer. And now he's dead because these two people and that woman didn't want to pay for their stuff. The baby in the car, or something, like a 2-year-old in their car.
2-year-old in the back seat. That's right. Yeah.
It's so
this young man who was the security guard, he was an Eagle Scout.
Of course he was. Of course he was. I mean, even if he wasn't, it's a human life that's lost over nothing. The Sweet 16 party. Do we know what led to that shooting? Whether it was gang related or what the motive? We don't know that yet. I was trying to look that up. So we have the Sweet 16. We have the little girl whose ball went into a neighbor's yard and she gets shot. And so does her dad.
The basketball just rolled into the driveway.
Yeah, sorry, life happens. I mean, I was thinking about this in the car when I was reading actually that story. People are like the guns make neighborhoods safer. No, it doesn't. It makes you not want to interact with anybody anymore. I think it's going to separate us more from each other. Like, I would help you out. I would, if a guy came up to my car and he was hurt, bleeding from the stomach, let's say, I would stop and help him, but not now. Nobody wants to stop and help anybody. Nobody wants to talk to anybody. Why? Because it could be some crazy person with a gun who's having a bad day. It's not worth it. And so guns are making us really scared of each other. And so, you guys, Republicans, Democrats, you guys can work on all sorts of issues, but we need to make the world safer for our kids and for each other. They can't even pull into the wrong driveway. Their ball can't even go into somebody's yard. You can't even just be doing your job and saying, don't steal that without getting shot.
In the period of it seems like a few days, we've had now the ball roll into the driveway and someone opening fire, the cheerleader getting into the wrong car and apologizing and getting shot. We've had the people pull into the driveway on accident and get shot while they're trying to back up. And we've had the guy knock on the wrong door. The 16-year-old boy knock on the wrong. So that's 4 incidents of someone has just made a bit of an error and they get shot for it for no reason.
For no reason. And that's what it's. And again,
why do we have to be such quick draw McGraw? Can you not ask a question first?
There's guns everywhere. Everyone's packing. Everyone has a gun. And if you think that everyone's packing, it makes you probably more likely to want to have one yourself. I mean, I wouldn't. But
this is the difference between, I think, and some would argue, no, police shouldn't have guns either. But this is the difference between someone being trained to assess a situation and make those critical decisions in a snap moment, right? I mean, yes, we've seen officers screw it up too, but there's training there, right? There's you have to make decisions quickly to defend the lives of those around you, but at least you've gone through some training. People that just go out and get a gun, they don't have that training.
No.
So
and now they don't even want you to get the training. No. They're like, no, you can have a concealed weapon. You don't need to be trained. We don't need to know who you are. It's fine. But we have a mental health crisis in this country. That's what they try to say. Mental health crisis, but everyone can get a gun with no questions asked. The Second Amendment.
Yes, you're right about the Oakland woman, Benicia Knaps. It was some sort of electrical item she was allegedly trying to steal before out the back of the door, out the loading dock.
So now the 2-year-olds lost their mother. A guy has lost his life because you didn't want to pay for something that was probably so vital.
Yeah.
And maybe it's drugs. Maybe they just wanted something expensive to sell for drugs. Again, it's just problem after problem. And it's not a California thing. This is a problem in this country. It really is. People need to just stop already. It's sad. And I know that times are tough, right? I know, between whether you don't have to be a drug addict or you don't have to be mentally ill to be having a hard time making ends meet. But that doesn't mean that you grab a gun and you just shoot people and steal things. And Chris says it was a phone charger. This is going to come out the wrong way. I hope it was more than a freaking phone charger that this guy lost his life over. I really do. I wouldn't want to be, again, going back to the thefts of stores, I wouldn't want to be a loss prevention worker. Oh, hell no. People kill me, shoot me over a phone charger or whatever the hell it is. I don't think so.
But then you see other videos of, people that are stealing things and no one does anything. And it's almost equally as shocking. So it's like if you do something, you put yourself at extreme risk. And if you
Right.
don't do something, then everyone's wondering, well, then what's the repercussion? What happens when people are shoplifting through the store and nothing is done?
Yeah. I mean,
Check this video out. This is
okay.
of a theft at a drugstore in San Francisco, and these people are just like shoveling stuff in over and over again, just bags full. There's 3 of them going at it at this drugstore. I don't know whether it's a
Don't even care.
CVS. Yeah, they're just shoveling stuff in, and it's all being videotaped. No one's trying to stop them. Well, look what happens when you stop them, like this man in Pleasanton, right? They're on scooters. They just put all the stuff in bags and check out. Anyway, I think I think it's applicable because, you talk about, well, why would he try to stop them? Well, because it's so frustrating to have just people steal and
You
have
call the cops. You
Yeah.
document it. I would record them and I document it and I
Yeah.
call the cops. I try to figure out a car or something. I mean, those sorts of things. Document, witness, and then send it to the people that are trained to have weapons. Right? It's so disappointing. I wish there was more public shaming. Like shame
Yeah.
on you. You're you're the problem.
Right.
Kim says employees are told not to confront the thieves. I've seen on several occasions people take armloads full of merchandise out of my local Marshalls and the employees don't blink because it's not worth their life. And it isn't. Believe me.
No.
It isn't. It's frustrating to watch that video that Kim just showed. I'm angry. Shame on them. Shame on them. You make our communities disgusting. It's awful. Chris, organized crime, probably organized crime. But it doesn't make it any better. Just be, they're organized. No, I would assume that when you say organized, it's a group of people that hit all these stores or what have you. But Calvin says the laws for private security guards need to be reformed, more limited liability so they can make more arrests. They fear lawsuits. I'd fear the bullets too. I would fear the bullets. It's just not worth it. It really isn't worth it, especially when everything's insured. But it makes stores want to leave and blah, blah. We know it. We really do know it. I wanted to show one more. Oh, here we go. Raina writes, I was working as a tow truck driver and pulled up to some white guy's house and he came out with a rifle and shot at my truck.
Oh, God.
That's society.
What do you think? You were there to tow his cars away? God.
Yeah. All right, Leon, you are so correctly. Let's click that thumbs up, people. Let's click the thumbs up. We do have Jefferson Graham with PhotoWalksTV waiting in the wings. We'll get a couple of headlines from Kim McAllister. And then he sent me 2 pictures that are really indicative of the difference in what you can do with different phones and timing and things like that. So I have a couple of those photos. So tell us what's coming up on his PhotoWalksTV show. He has a special guest. Hint, hint. It's me. So I'll be doing that right after this show. You'll definitely want to head on over there. So Jefferson Graham is coming up also. Just to lighten things up towards the end of the show, we do have to get to that viral video of the guy on the plane. Saying what I'm sure so many people have wanted to say on an airplane. But I mean, I can't stop watching it. It cracks me up. It's mean. It's awful. It's not like the parents can do anything
I have
about
not
it.
seen what you are talking about.
Okay, so preface this whole thing. There's bad language, but you just have to play it with the bad language because it's just... If you guys have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is so good. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so good. All right. That's all coming up after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Make this a short one because we have Jefferson Graham waiting in the wings. There is a BART employee, unfortunately, accused in a deadly San Francisco hit and run. He was arrested Tuesday, faces a manslaughter charge. Police say he was on duty as a system service worker when he struck a 45-year-old man crossing El Camino Real 2 weeks ago, leaving him to bleed out in the street. BART sends sincere condolences to the victim's family, they say. A spokesperson says the agency is cooperating with the police investigation. It looks like Antioch is about to be smacked with a federal lawsuit today. There's a civil rights attorney planning to sue the city of Antioch over this police scandal you may have heard about involving racist, homophobic, sexist, and threatening text messages. Looks like the lawyer will be outside the police department with some of the victims named. The Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office has released 2 batches of these texts thus far between at least 23 officers. Other reports say as many as 40 officers were involved. Again, even more are reportedly part of this bigger investigation. This is a busy day around the Bay Area. Big traffic day. And Nikki mentioned this. It is an unofficial pot holiday, but up to 20,000 people are expected to take part in the 420 celebrations at Golden Gate Park's Hippie Hill. And then we've got the festival kicking off at 10 a.m. Organizers recommend taking public transportation, and then we can add to the congestion with the Giants playing the Mets at Oracle Park, the Warriors game kicking off game 3 of their playoff a few blocks down at Chase Center. So again, a lot going on in San Francisco today. If you, for whatever reason, have to drive through the city, just know that you will likely see a lot of traffic.
And a lot of smoke if you pass Hippie Hill. So there you go.
A lot of smoke if you pass Hippie Hill. Did you know that apparently silver hair is the hot spring thing to have this year?
Oh, good. I have tons of it coming through. It's fabulous. Great. I should just let it
I have a little bit here and here, so it's coming on in.
Well, like right here, like, it's my diamond flakes in my hair. There we go. Something pretty.
But people are saying doing the silver hair is not necessarily good for you.
No.
That there's information.
Probably.
Yeah, it's bad for your body. It could actually cause you to lose hair, type of thing.
Oh, really?
So maybe the silver hair movement isn't when you want to participate in. I say wait until you get it naturally.
There
right?
you go. Just go all natural. There you go.
Come on in. When you get silver hair, do you want to dye it?
Well, I dye my hair normally, but since we're watching our pennies, the every 3 to 6 months to the hair salon has gone by the wayside. So it's not a ton. I don't get like the line. I just get like a hair here, and then they're coarser. I already have like really curly hair, so then all of a sudden it'll be like bing, straight up in the air. And I go, can you just stop and stay down? So, but whatever. I'm not vain. I'm like, whatever.
So I used to try to pluck them out. Right?
Oh, don't do that.
And then why not? I mean, if I don't want one there, it's gone.
Well, you have a lot of hair, but you can go bald that way.
Then it's just got to be too many. Like I couldn't keep up with it.
Your forehead's just gonna keep going back and back and back.
There's so many I can't do it. So I have a little silver stripe on each side.
You can put a little bit of like, they have like brush color. So it's temporary. You can just brush it in to go out. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know. I used to say when I got to the point where my hair started going gray, that was when I was going to make the move and dye it platinum blonde.
Ooh.
But I've just decided I don't care that much. Like I'm just fine with it. I'm fine with age. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way of doing it. It's just age. Be like a Justine Bateman. Did we talk about Justine Bateman?
No, we haven't. But I saw what she had to say. Yeah,
she's aging, and she's fine with it. So
just do it. I mean, it's much better than the alternative, which is not aging, right? Which is death. So we'll bring it on. Take that silver hair and those wrinkles, and off we go into the sunset. This report could be sponsored by you if you would like to sponsor a newscast, a segment of the show. Maybe even the whole show. Hey, whatever you got, we'll do it with you. You can email us at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. You can find the Patreon and PayPal links at thenikkimedoroshow.com. And we thank you for spending your time with us here on the show. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. And joining us now, who's been waiting in the wings, prepping for his own show, and in Columbus, Ohio, it is Jefferson Graham with PhotoWalksTV. Jefferson, so how is Columbus, Ohio?
Columbus is great. Classic Midwest. And Monday and Tuesday we were freezing. Today it's 80 degrees and really humid.
Oh, that's nice. It's gorgeous here. Today actually feels like it's spring. It's gorgeous, perfect day here.
But a
So
very pretty city. We really like it.
and so what are you doing in Columbus, Ohio?
I
What can
have,
people expect
oh
on your
yeah,
show?
I have this series called PhotoWalksTV where
Mhm.
I run around and show off what it's like to go visit some places and where to get the best photos. So I've been out filming a lot. And that's why I gave you those two photos to show you
Yeah.
the
Let me
difference
bring them up.
between, one of my big things is always timing is everything.
Uh-huh.
And it was really classic here. That's a very pretty skyline shot taken on the Rich Street Bridge at 2 in the afternoon. Still very nice. But if you're willing to go out 15 minutes after sunset,
Look
you will
what
then
you
see,
do.
you will then see,
Look at that.
yeah,
Ooh.
That is gorgeous.
yeah.
That is a
And
It's
gorgeous
the
picture.
reflection of the lights on the water that kind of
Mhm.
really does it.
Yeah, and it's all about timing. It's all about just when the time is right to go do it, and you go out and get it done. And that's again taken on an iPhone, taken on the iPhone 14 Pro, and I think it looks pretty great.
I think it looks fabulous. Have you been to Columbus, Ohio before?
Yeah, several times. My wife's brother lives here.
Okay. And so when you go there, are there definite places? This is a better question. How do you choose where to shoot? Or you just walk around and whatever grabs
First
you?
of all, I am at Midwest Photo, the premier camera store in Columbus,
Oh.
Ohio, right now.
Oh.
And on our show a little later, they're going to be showing off stuff. I got a lot of gear
cool.
here to show off, and they
Boxes
are very
and boxes of it. Look at
boxes
that.
and boxes and
Yeah.
boxes right over there. And they're very kind, and they let me set up here. I called them for some ideas on where to shoot. And
Oh,
they
good.
hooked me up with a local photographer, and I met her on Tuesday, and we started going around town to some of her favorite photo spots. That's usually what I do because I can't really helicopter into a place and know all the places to go. I can look up things online, but it really helps to get local input.
And I'm imagining you're not bringing much equipment with you, or how is it doing this live remote type of show?
This live remote, I am talking into an iPhone. And I borrowed a microphone from our friends at Midwest Photo because
Oh, look at that.
my mic did not connect correctly into the computer. And I
Okay.
wanted you to have the best audio possible. And I brought charging cables. So I brought 2 iPhones, Samsung Galaxy, and the Insta360 camera and a tripod. That's it.
Wow. Now, I'm going to be joining your show right after
Thank
the
you.
end of this show. PhotoWalks TV starts at 2:00. I'll be going over there and we'll talk a little bit more about equipment needed to do something like this.
Like
and
podcasting, video podcasting.
Exactly.
What I like is that you do 10 hours a week. You talk a lot, but I'm going to ask you questions that maybe you haven't been asked before.
Well,
What do you-
good. I'm going to love not having to come up with any of the questions. You just throw them at me and I'll
But I
try to
will
come up with
say
them.
that the alternative to aging is much what are you going to do? You're going to cry about it, or you're going to just
Yeah.
live with it, right?
There
Right.
you go. That's the best answer I think I've heard on the whole entire. Exactly. It's and Kim said it too. It's better than not aging, right?
That's
Right.
That's right.
What's the alternative, right?
What's
Yeah.
the alternative?
But go out, get out of the house, take lots of walks, enjoy life, look around. The person I've been walking around Columbus with, which is like, I haven't seen half of these things just because we're walking around and I'm noticing things that I hadn't seen before. So, like that bridge was gorgeous. We really had
Let
fun
me show
there.
that again. Let me show the difference again. I mean, that is a nice shot. That's probably
Yeah.
something like I would take. And then I would look at that and I'd be like, oh, isn't that amazing? But I
Well, look
wouldn't-
at the before picture. Like the water's kind of brown.
Right.
yeah,
It
exactly.
doesn't look
Can't get
very
the
appealing.
reflection.
It's like, what's
Exactly.
it looks like the Petaluma River. What's in there, right? And then
Yeah.
you flip to the night picture and it's like,
Ooh,
oh, that's
wow.
nice. I can see sticking my toes in there in the night.
Yeah, and I did a time lapse too. So it's really fun because when I started, none of the lights were on, and then you see them start to flicker on, and it is so you'll see that in the episode, which will probably be out in 2 weeks.
And Karen D has a question for you. What is the better Android phone to buy if you want awesome pictures and film?
Well, you don't use film with an Android, so
Well,
we'll get that out of the way.
maybe video.
I'm not as up on the Android as I am with the iPhone. I bought the Galaxy S21 so that I would know Android better, and that's a 2-year-old phone, and I've been doing really well with it. The reviews of the new S23 have been stellar, so I would probably get that. Many people really like the Google Pixel as well, and I got the Samsung because more people have it, and more people ask me questions about how do I do this on my Galaxy.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I feel like if you're an iPhone person, you can geek out on all the little features. And if you're the Android, you do the exact same thing. So if you have a phone that Jefferson doesn't use, just play with it. I think that's one of the messages you always tell
Just
me and
keep
Kim. Just
clicking
keep messing with
buttons.
it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Jefferson, your show kicks off in about 45 minutes. I will join you there. We'll talk about, podcasting, streaming shows. You have a great show live stream from Columbus, Ohio. And you're going to have
Midwest
some amazing
Photo.
pictures too, right? There we go.
Yes.
All right, Jefferson Graham, PhotoWalksTV. Find him, subscribe to his show on YouTube, and I'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so everybody loves to take pictures with their phones. The only reason I buy the damn thing is to take better pictures. And the only way I learn how to take better pictures is by listening to Jefferson Graham. So there you go. Okay, let's switch gears. Oh, I meant to bring this up earlier, but I did not. BuzzFeed, I teased this. BuzzFeed News. Did you know that they won a Pulitzer?
No.
It was, I think, 2021. They won a Pulitzer. Let's see. I think in their international division.
Wow.
This was in 2021. It was exposing China's mass detention of Muslims. They were also named a finalist for its colossal FinCEN Files investigation into the global banking industry. So if you hear BuzzFeed and you're like, who cares about BuzzFeed? BuzzFeed News was really breaking a lot of stories. And I mean, I read a lot of things anyway, but I read a lot of BuzzFeed. Yeah, it has the fun quizzes and kind of the celebrity nonsense.
My
But
computer keeps kicking me out. I don't know what's going on. Sorry.
Stop it, computer. Keep Kim here with us. So BuzzFeed announced it's shutting down its news division. I guess the person behind it said, I admit I might have overinvested into Ben Smith, the founding editor of BuzzFeed News. He says, I think this moment is the part of the end of the whole era of media. It's the end of the marriage between social media and news. And he said, I may have overinvested. Actually, it wasn't this guy because he left in 2020. It was the next guy, Mr. Peretti. He said, I made the decision to overinvest in BuzzFeed News Division because I love the work it produced, but he also acknowledged he had been slow to accept that social media platforms would not provide the financial support needed to make BuzzFeed News profitable. Mr. Peretti wrote, I've learned from these mistakes, and the team moving forward has learned from them as well. We know that the changes and improvements we are making are necessary steps to building a better future.
Okay.
But the Twitter response is showing something else. They said also that the company's future, BuzzFeed said this, is using creators and AI. So a lot of people are claiming that it's not as if they're going to go away and not use the technology, but that AI is coming for these jobs. And people aren't happy about it. There was a great article in the Chronicle where there's a study by the Pew Research Center, and more than 11,000 Americans think artificial intelligence will change the workplace. And it appears that many people are upset about it. Almost 2/3 or 62% of the people surveyed said the use of AI in the workplace to do everything from making hiring and firing decisions to monitoring employee performance will have a major impact on workers within the next 20 years. 71% of those surveyed do not like AI making a final hiring decision. 41% do not like AI reviewing job applications. These are things where they're already using AI in many cases. Tracking worker movements while they work, 61% do not like that.
That's creepy. It's like the robot, the overseer,
But how many of these are we so used to? 51% oppose recording what people are doing on their computers. That's already happening. They're tracking, what websites you're going to, and you just accept it. 70% oppose AI analyzing employees' facial expressions. 52% oppose tracking how often workers take breaks. I mean, I wonder what that is. I mean, an electronic time card, but that's not AI. I would want details on that. 35%, so less than majority, but don't oppose automatically tracking the attendance of employees. And what is it? 62% of workers believe AI will affect them and the economy. again, within the next 20 years. It's already here, people. It's already here. And as these companies start laying off human workers, they're going to blame AI, whether they're using it to this extent or not. SF Tesla says BuzzFeed is cutting out its news division and will employ 15% fewer workers. This is a cost-cutting move. Yep. So no BuzzFeed News, just BuzzFeed. Yeah, no BuzzFeed News. It's different. I mean, BuzzFeed, if you go to BuzzFeed.com, it kind of seems quirky, right? I think one article was mentioning how this one writer or guy like pooped on his neighbor or something. I mean, they have the weird quizzes. It's like, what Harry Potter house do you belong to? They do all that kind of brainless stuff, clickbaity stuff. But BuzzFeed News did real journalism.
Yeah.
But combining it with social media, similar to Facebook, if you go to social media and it is free and they are posting and reposting news articles, the work of paid journalists, it's going to devalue that work. It's just naturally going to. If you're going to give it away for free, it's going to lose the money for the workers and for the newspapers that employ them. BuzzFeed was free. It costs a lot of money to report news. It does. I mean, you have to have reporters. You have to send them places. There's a lot of overtime. I mean, just logistically, budget stuff, it's expensive to run a news department.
Yeah.
But it's vital. It's vital that we have it. And you would think, this whole idea of technology making things easier because it's going to be faster and more streamlined. What happens is it's not. It's not as if we're using it in a way that is financially beneficial for both the worker, the employer, and the company that owns all of it. It's just not. But again, BuzzFeed News is out. We have time for this. Speaking of work and everything like that, I wanted to touch on this on, was it Tuesday? Because I was gone yesterday. Yeah, Tuesday. But we didn't get to it. Could you work with your spouse? I know some of you had mentioned in the comments when I had teased this. Could you work every single day doing the same job with your spouse?
You would like to think that your spouse was the person at work that you would like the most, that did the best job, that had the best work ethic. But what if you started working with your spouse and you realize they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing? Like they are the annoying person at work that doesn't get the job done.
Or they're better than you at your job.
Well, that I would welcome.
Would
right?
you? I mean, not in this job, but like, what if you were both vying for a promotion? So I mentioned this, and this is obviously a lighter story, but I saw on Monday, Kelly Ripa began. Kelly and Ryan is over. It's now Kelly and Mark Consuelos, her husband. They're doing a daily, Monday through Friday, TV talk show together. It's live with Kelly and Mark.
Going home together. That's a lot of time.
Now, he's not hard to look at. I'm not saying that. And they did work together before. What was it? General Hospital or one of those soap operas, whatever soap opera she was on. So they've worked together before. But a lot of people after watching Monday's show were slamming the couple because I guess in their opening monologue, they decided to talk about the fact that Mark snores. And so, but I'll say this. I think it's also what people expect if you're going to have a married couple that you're going to get a lot of inside baseball, inside the marriage stories.
Sure.
And if you listen to the opening, I'm calling it a monologue, but it's kind of the chatter that like Ryan and Kelly would do. They're talking about funny things, nonsense. Like, oh, I went to the coffee shop. It's stories. Kim and I, we do this, right? You talk about things that are happening in your day-to-day life.
Sure.
And I would assume that as they're prepping for their first day doing a show, Kelly wanted to get a good night's sleep. Mark snoring all the time, and they chose it to be the story that they started with. But people were calling it a snore fest, literally. But other people are saying, we don't want to see married couples working this close, all my children, working this closely together. And so I thought, I want to work with my husband. And I thought to myself, we've never been in the same field. And I was like, what job could I do and my husband do that we would get along with? And the only thing I could think of, because it's a job we both did in our past, was being a restaurant server. And I do think I could do that with my spouse. I worked with my brother for years at the same restaurant, and you kind of have each other's back and you help each other out. But I don't know if I could do radio every single day with my husband. I don't know. Do you think you could do it with David?
Probably not.
It's just, it matters the job. Now, I could not slide into his job. I mean, he works HVAC. He works with his hands. He probably, the second time I have to climb a ladder to go to the top of the building and be like, ugh, where is the elevator already? You know, I would
Yeah.
totally be the annoying person that wouldn't want to do it. Raina said, I met my man at work.
Okay.
You still work together? And how was that? Vilma thinks it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Eric says, don't date coworkers, just don't, because that's where it could lead, right? So I met my
Right.
spouse at work, and now we work together. I mean, I have colleagues, I have former colleagues that met their spouses at work, and
Yeah, I know a lot of people who are married.
yeah.
Well, Ron Owens and his wife Jan.
Oh, did they meet at work? I didn't know that they met at work. Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. And then the Sugarmans, Mike Sugarman and his
I
wife.
didn't know that.
Yeah, they think they anchor together in New York somewhere right now.
That is
So
funny.
there's a lot of radio couples that met on the job and married.
Ron Cook brings up an interesting example. Dr. Phil would bring his wife on all the time and his kids.
Yeah.
Ron says, I never liked the Dr. Phil, thought it cheapened the show. Oh, now Greg brings up Gil Gross and his wife, but I don't think his wife worked there. He would just bring her on the show, correct?
Right. Although I think they did start in some type of performing arts together. It may have been radio.
Okay.
So I think that's maybe how they met. I don't know.
I love Janet. No, my husband and I can't even work on home improvement projects together. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I mean, I adore my husband. We get along excellent.
It's just a lot of time.
It's just a lot of time together. Yeah. Remember when COVID was happening and everyone was working from home? I remember this one person was like, oh my God, I'm married to let's circle back to that person. Because you see the work person that they are versus the person they are at home. And those two people can be quite different. Depending on what kind of job they do. So all of a sudden you're realizing, oh my God, you're the micromanager, or oh my God, you're that coworker that I hate. And
that's what I'm saying. You
hilarious.
get in there with that person and you're all of a sudden you're like, oh, I thought you were one way, but really you're the other.
Yeah. Oh, look at Tony in San Antonio. Nikki, my wife and I did what you're thinking. I was a cook. She was a server. Worked together for a few years until we left the job together. 25 years later, 3 children, and still going strong. I love
that's
that.
nice. Yeah.
I love that. I have never, I'm making sure I'm correct here. I've never dated anybody I've worked with. No. That's never happened. Have you ever dated anybody? No. Heather says, my significant other and I met at work, continued to work together, and did such a good job at that. We both won awards for the program we developed and ran together. Look at that. See?
Nice.
There you go. Karen, I love this story. I married the copier laser printer repairman who came to our office. Our machines were always breaking down. I bet they were, Karen. I bet you were making them, jam all the time, weren't you? Just kidding.
I bet you are leaving some interesting copy photos for him to check out.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't watch Kelly. I didn't watch Kelly and Ryan. I don't watch Kelly and Mark. So I have no kind of skin in the game of this whole thing. But I can imagine it being a little bit annoying.
That's the thing. I mean, I could come on and tell you a story about, my husband or my family or something. And you and I will talk about it and have our own perspectives. But does anybody really want to hear us talk to our spouses, and then you slip into that whole married thing that people do, and the bickering and all that. And then it's not funny, and then it becomes less about the story and more about your relationship and how you are together.
May not be that interesting, you think it's funny. It's just like when you're at work and you think that your office is so quirky, it could be the next Office TV show, and then you start telling the work stories at home and everyone's eyes glaze over because it's just not that interesting. I can imagine that happening with Kelly and Mark. It's that cute story that you kept telling at home is just not cute for the rest of us to hear. So we'll see if it lasts. And back to what if they do a better job? Can you imagine? What if Mark just totally outshines Kelly? It could happen.
I don't think so. I mean, he's good looking, but she's really funny.
I don't know. We'll see. I could see it rocking the boat. They've been married for a long time though, so I'm sure they know each. And he fills in a lot, so we'll see. But I can see if he gets some more accolades and attention than she does. They're in show business for a reason. I imagine, even if they do love each other, ego and competitiveness will have to come into play. Okay, Kim's going to do some news, and then I want to get to this video. I wasn't able, and I know that you probably talked about it already. I'm going to include in our next conversation the 22-week pregnant woman who was forced to pick up popcorn that her kid had dropped on a United Airlines flight, and the baseball star guy was really pissed off about it. But that's not as good. That is not anywhere close to as good as the video I'm going to show you about a guy getting very upset on a Southwest Airlines plane. And my husband, speaking of husbands, my husband is the one that actually brought this video to my attention, and then it went completely viral. And he has a point. But the reason why I'm going to play it is, he is saying what everyone on that plane wanted to say. It's just the way that he did it. Now, warning, there is bad language, very bad language in the next video, but it's so worth it. I don't even care. I don't even care about getting the hit, because it's just so worth it. And then of course, we'll talk about that. Well, we'll talk about a couple of things. We only have a few more minutes left in this next segment, but we'll get to all of it, I promise. Click that thumbs up button before we go to Kim's news, please. It helps us out. We really do appreciate it. The super chat, of course, is live as well. A big thank you to Vilma, who donated $5 as a super sticker. Wes also with $10. Linda with a $10 super sticker. Rick, $25, and then Lori started us off with condolences to our friend Andreas, $55, and then of course become a Medorable. We love our Medorables by going to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and I want to make sure I get the name right. Ronald has become the latest Medorable with a $100 monthly donation. Thank you. I appreciate it. So go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, and you too can become a Medorable just like everybody else. All right.
I am frozen in time. Should I go out and come in, or just go with it?
Well, you can go out and come back in. It's okay.
Right. I'll do it. I'll be right back.
There you go. Kim's going to go right back. Somebody asked, does Kim only freeze during Nikki's show? And we've decided that just as people can get exhausted from working every single day, we think that Kim's computer might get tired by the time she goes from Mark's show to this show. But now it's up and running. So see, there she is. All right, let's do some news, and then I'll get to that viral video that you do not want to miss after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
We will start with this story that just broke today. This is, of course, Alec Baldwin, and reports now say that manslaughter charges against Alec Baldwin related to the on-set death while filming the movie Rust have been dropped. No manslaughter charges for Alec Baldwin. A statement from Baldwin's lawyer said, "We are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin. The film's cinematographer was accidentally killed by a prop gun held by Baldwin." So again, manslaughter charges dropped against Alec Baldwin. Serious situation in the Sudan. The United States is now set to send additional forces to Sudan, to East Africa, to help with a potential evacuation at an American embassy. Reports say about 70 staffers at the embassy in Sudan's capital have been sheltering in place as this conflict between Sudan's military and a rival paramilitary group grows. The airport in Khartoum, Sudan's capital city, is inoperable now due to all this fighting. There are AAPI activists in the Bay Area that are upset that their communities seem to remain under attack. Police and AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander activists, are saying the key to making more progress is to convince a sometimes reluctant community that crimes, they need to be reporting crimes to the police or to community websites. Just yesterday, San Jose police announced that in 2 robbery cases involving multiple victims, that they had made arrests. In these cases, the victims had had their jewelry and purses violently snatched. Police say one suspect from East Palo Alto is accused of 14 strong-arm robberies, all in the South Bay, for just ripping jewelry off of victims and hurting several people in the process. So good for the arrests, right? Twitter is now starting to remove these blue check marks for verified users who are not paying subscribers. Celebrities including Oprah, Justin Bieber, Katy Perry, Kim Kardashian all lost their check marks this afternoon. Prominent news anchors, including MSNBC's Rachel Maddow and CNN's Christiane Amanpour, lost theirs as well. As types of public figures from Bill Gates to Pope Francis lose the blue checks. It's one less tool users have to be able to tell apart known sources from impersonators. CEO Elon Musk announced last week the last day for legacy verified users to keep their checks without paying $8 per month would be today, or 420. It was originally unclear whether it was yet another one of the jokes he's notorious for, or whether it was the truth, and it looks like it's the truth. Speaking of Elon Musk, he's threatening Microsoft with assault. Well, no, not assault. Wait, let me say that again. He's threatening Microsoft with a lawsuit, not assault.
I was like, are they going to duke it out? What's going on?
Happy 420 day to you too, Elon. The Twitter CEO claims the software giant illegally used the social media company's data to train its artificial intelligence. So he doesn't want Twitter data used in chat GPT, right? The threat comes after multiple reports that Microsoft is dropping Twitter from its advertising platform over Twitter's API fees. So yeah, they could end up in court over this. No one's assaulting anyone. Facebook users can now apply for a share of a $725 million privacy settlement. The deal resolves a class action lawsuit that alleged Facebook allowed Cambridge Analytica to harvest the personal data of 87 million users between May of 2007 and December of 2022. As part of the agreement, Facebook does not admit any wrongdoing. Okay. Michelle Obama is stirring up some laughter. I have a picture of her here. There you go. There's Michelle. She's stirring up laughter after teaming up with The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon to surprise customers at a bookstore in Manhattan. In a segment that aired on Wednesday's episode, patrons of McNally Jackson Bookstore, thinking they're part of a promotional campaign for the former First Lady's inspirational new book, press a button to hear some quotes from it. And when they do, it sounds like this.
We practice our faith in the smallest of ways. With it, we are saying, I can. We are saying, I care.
I don't know if you can hear that. Anyway, kind of funny.
I heard that. Okay, yeah.
What they didn't know was that Obama was hiding really close with Fallon. She was reading the quotes herself live. She would then suddenly appear, pop, causing the over-the-top excitement from many people. So kind of fun. And I know that you love a fast food story. So I've got this one for you. I don't know if you like the Big Mac. Have you had a Big Mac?
I've never eaten the Big Mac in my life. I've never had one.
That's what you were saying. Well, it turns out a lot of people think that what makes the Big Mac so special,
sorry, for finding that. What?
Is the special sauce.
That's Thousand Island dressing, right?
Well, is it or is it not?
It looks like Thousand Island dressing, I know.
Now, apparently McDonald's is changing up the old Big Mac by adding more sauce, and you can get even more than that.
What?
The fast food giant announced this week that for a limited time, customers will be able to get the Big Mac sauce in a dipping cup.
Ooh, okay.
In a bid to promote its staple items, McDonald's is working on building up hype around the product without making large-scale changes. Dipping sauce, they say, is an easy way to do that without making an entirely new menu item or adding an ingredient to the existing Big Mac. Will just give you a cup of the most fattening part of the burger. There you go.
See, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's not that the Big Mac looks bad. I Again, I'm not a big hamburger eater.
Right.
So I don't need 2 patties. I don't need an extra piece of bread. Thank you very much. So it just seems over the top. I feel like I should try it at some point, but it ain't gonna be today. And a
Well,
tub of
maybe
the
it should be
sauce is not.
tomorrow. But you
No,
know what? I
I
don't
don't
know
know
if
what
we
I'm
want to
eating
see you
tomorrow.
eat a Big Mac because we always, we've already, most of us have eaten a Big Mac at least once in our life.
Yeah. What's tomorrow? Is it a national day, a food day? Let me look at my calendar while you finish your news and see if there's any food.
Well, I was going to show you that apparently you can buy the Big Mac sauce
Okay.
now. You can actually get it in a bottle if you want to take it home.
You can
Did you
make
know
it too.
that?
It's called Thousand Island dressing.
I don't think it is, though.
Well, I think everybody thinks that it is.
I think there's something more to the story.
Let me Google. Mrs. Google is going to tell me, is the Big Mac sauce, and Thousand Island pops up. It is
Does
not,
it?
apparently. Thousand Island dressing requires tomatoes, which are
Mhm.
not an ingredient in this sauce. So there you
Yeah.
go.
There it is, the bottle of Big Mac special sauce. Dip to your
Yeah.
heart's content.
Soybean oil is the first ingredient, followed by pickle
Mm,
relish, distilled
okay.
vinegar, water, egg yolks, high fructose corn syrup, yum, onion powder, mustard seed, salt, spices, propylene, glycol, alginate, sodium benzate,
Ugh.
mustard bran, sugar, garlic powder, vegetable protein, caramel color, extracts of paprika, soy, lectin, turmeric, calcium, disodium to protect the flavor. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That does not sound appetizing to me.
Sounds so good.
Yeah, it's basically just without the tomato. There you go.
This show is crowdfunded. We appreciate you being here and spending your time with us. If you'd like to support the show, you can find us online, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. You'll find links to PayPal, Patreon there if you're so moved to support the show. We thank you for that. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
The music got a little over there for a second. Somebody asked, I don't know what's up with the music right now. Chill out, music. Somebody asked if I got my coffee cake. No.
I don't think they make it anymore. They don't.
So I have, from coast to coast, I have had people, some of you in fact, calling. So I think I'm going to set up a petition. What do you guys think? You think we should try to get it back? So I reached out to Entenmann's myself, in addition to a lot of you and a lot of friends and family that live all across the country. And what Entenmann's told me was that, yes, it's been discontinued. And this is my cheese-filled crumb coffee cake. It has been discontinued, but consumer demand could bring it back. So I'm just telling myself, if we could bring back the Mexican pizza, I think we could lead the way on bringing back this coffee cake. But no, I was actually thinking, and this weekend is insane for me. Just my daughter's in a play and we have birthday parties or whatever. And I know it's going to take me a long time, but some of you, and I have found recipes, like a copycat recipe. Now, again, I've told you guys, I want the preservatives and all the crap. I want the original. I want the OG Entenmann's cheese-filled crumb cake, coffee crumb cake. But if I can't have it for right now, can I make one that is just like it? So I'm going to try at some point to make it. And that will definitely be part of a food segment if I do it. Yeah, everyone loved it. And everyone's starving right now and can even be more hungry throughout the day for very obvious reasons. So yeah, I will keep you guys posted. And when I create the petition, we're going to spread it far and wide. It'll go viral, as they say, similar to this video. So Kim, I'm really happy that you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this video, correct? Am I correct in thinking that you have not heard? Now, we're moms. You've flown when your children were babies, right?
Oh, look at the cute little chubby fingers.
I know. So the first time I rode with my daughter as a new mom was to Arizona to see my brother. And it was before I even went back from maternity leave. So she was under 4 months old. I think she was like 3 months old. And she was excellent. I remember leaving I'll never forget it. I was getting off the plane and this woman looked at me. She's like, oh, I didn't even know there was a baby on this plane. And I was like, thank God. And it was a quick flight. I mean, it was just from, San Jose to Phoenix. So it wasn't that long of a flight. Now, I don't know if I know where this flight started, but there was this flight going to Florida. Okay. Now I'm going to play you the video of this guy. It is just, it's so freaking good. It makes me cry every time I watch it. And it's simply because he doesn't give two Fs. Like, he does not care. He knows people are recording him. The guy that's recording is cracking up. So I'm going to play it for you. And then you guys tell me, I mean, does he have a bit of a point? Okay, here we go.
No, let's be rational. Hold on. You want to be rational? No. Don't tell me what the fuck I need to do. Let's be rational. We are in a fucking tin can with a baby in a goddamn echo chamber, and you want to talk to me about being fucking okay?
Okay, because you're yelling.
So is the baby.
Okay, so you're a man.
Did that motherfucker pay extra to yell?
Okay.
No. Shut up. Fuck you and shut up. I don't give a fuck. You were sitting there watching that motherfucking baby cry for 40 minutes.
Oh my.
That shit didn't have nothing to do with nothing. Okay. Fuck, lower that baby's voice.
Okay. I think it's all good. I'm sorry. Get the fuck out.
Okay, I am dying laughing because that guy he's like, but you're yelling. And he's like, so is the baby. Like, I can't stop crying because it's like, he's so mad at this baby that apparently has been crying for 45 minutes straight. Now,
I know it's frustrating, but when you buy a ticket for a plane, you have to expect that you're going to hear a cacophony of noise. There could be a screaming kid. There could be people kicking your seat from the back. I mean, you're on public transportation. This is the way.
No, but the fact that he's like, did that MFer pay extra to yell? I was like, dying laughing. Now, is it right? No, of course not. He was everyone had to get off the plane.
Imagine how bad the parents feel. Like, they're like this.
Okay, let's add this to the conversation because Heather makes a good point. In all honesty, I would gladly pay more for baby and toddler free flights.
They should have, that should be a thing. Yeah.
I think some people would say that's discriminatory. Like, what if you can't find a flight anywhere else?
I think parents know. See, I think as a parent, you don't want to inconvenience or bother anyone, really. And so I would rather have a plane full of people who understand and get it, and have the people who don't want me on their flight, be on a separate flight. I have no problem with that. No.
He was so upset. And I'm sorry that I keep laughing, but I'm just like, at what he got, like, it didn't start there. Like, he was getting more and more angry, and then he just starts yelling. And Karen's a good point. The baby's crying and yelling, and the man's screaming. You see, men never change. But it was just like, I don't know what he wanted. Did he really want the parents to get up and take the baby off the plane or muzzle the baby? Look, the parents do not want the baby to be crying either. They more than anybody, more than that guy, they don't want the baby to cry. But the fact that he's like, I'm done. It's an echo chamber. I'm done. Yeah, Vilma says they're scaring the baby. I'm sure it wasn't white noise. It was literal screaming, earplugs. Well, if you listen to the whole video, he was saying, he's like, I have headphones on. I've done these things. And the baby is just, it was probably ear piercing, screaming. I bet the baby, they hadn't taken off. So it can't be the pressure. Because sometimes for the babies, it's the pressure in the ears and it's very painful.
It hurts them. Mm-hmm.
It could just be, the baby has colic. You can't reason with babies. They're going to cry. Wes says noise canceling headphones. I don't know if they were noise canceling, but the guy did mention it. And believe me, as someone who has worn earplugs for, what is it, honey, 20 plus years, because I've been dealing with a snorer, you can hear anything through earplugs, anything. There is nothing. C. Jason says a baby's cry elicits the release of very specific chemicals that we adults are hardwired to care about. It's a thing. Well, that guy didn't give two craps about it. Did he pay extra to yell? I am just dying. So anyways, everyone had a deplane. Everyone on the flight had a deplane. The guy, security came. They were talking with him. I think they let him away. I don't know if he got arrested, but being on a plane with a bunch of people sucks.
You're in
it,
public though, and you need to know how to act accordingly. And
yeah.
honestly, the way he was yelling, it could have escalated,
So what?
So
No, he's not going to beat the baby. I mean, I would hope
or
not. Jesus.
no, but like what if they're trying to drag him off the plane and then there's
Oh yeah.
trouble and then there's hitting and then there's, all of a sudden the guy's arrested and it all started with a baby crying.
He's like, I mean, that's a joke. He's like, you're yelling. He's like, so is the baby. It's like, so since the baby's yelling, I can yell. It's
I
so
was on
funny.
a 4-hour flight once when a baby was screaming the entire way.
Oh,
The
and it's
entire
so
time.
hard. It's so hard.
I feel
I know.
I mean, yes, it's hard on the ears, but I just feel bad for the baby and the parents,
Yeah. My mom worked, she was a pediatric nurse for decades.
Yeah.
And even she, she'd get off work and we'd go somewhere and there'd be a baby crying and she would just close her eyes because it's like the last thing she wants to hear is a baby crying, right? But it's not like she was blaming the baby. It's just a sound that's incessant and you can't get away from it. And I get it. See, Jason says, I'm saying the guy had a point. It's a torture to something every time the kid screeches. Yeah, I definitely understand where he's coming from. You just don't say that part out loud, and you sure as hell don't scream it across all the plane in front of the baby. Now, I know that this is a little bit old, but what was your stance on baseball player Anthony Bass being pissed off that his 20 young kids was forced to get on her hands and knees and pick up popcorn on the floor of a plane that their child had dropped? Would you pick it up if you were told?
Okay, so I would have done that anyway. I would have tried to pick up the popcorn because I always felt bad leaving a mess, right?
Right.
But when I said that they have the cleaning crew to come by, it's funny. Mark is like, "Oh, you're one of those people who's like let the cleaning crew do it." No, that's not what I'm saying. But do you know how hard it is to pick up popcorn and actually have popcorn be picked up properly? It's embedded in the carpet. It's everywhere. Like it's something that's difficult to pick up.
See the
So I
popcorn
don't-
on the bottom right there? That's what they're
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, would I have tried? Yes. But do I think the airline should force someone to get down there and clean it up? No. I think it's like a restaurant, right? I think it's like you
Yes.
don't do that. As a parent, if you're conscientious, you get down there and try to pick it up. If you are not, or even if you've done your best to pick it up, the cleaning crews should still come by because you've got a whole new batch of people coming on the plane. So I think the bottom line is don't give your kid something messy on a plane. Don't do
They'll
it.
make anything messy. I mean, they'll make anything messy.
I mean, have you ever tried to clean after movie night at the elementary school popcorn from the gym floor?
Everywhere.
It's everywhere. Don't give your kid popcorn on a plane or anything that's going to be messy.
Do you clean up popcorn that spills in a movie theater?
I do not on the sticky movie floor.
Yeah.
Do you get down there and clean it up?
No.
No, I figure like they've got the broom. If I had a broom and the equipment, maybe afterward, but I never have because they have the team that comes in to do it.
So my daughter was in a situation where she was with her friends, and somebody had walked by and knocked over the popcorn on the ground, and there was a bunch of popcorn. And one of the girls was like, "We have to clean it up." And they're like, "There's somebody that's paid to do that." Like, I'm not getting. And movie floors are gross. I'm like, no, you do not go on your hands and knees. That popcorn's gone now. Like, you're not eating that popcorn. But David makes a good point about how hard it is to clean a plane versus a movie theater, which doesn't have.
I will say it bothers me in movie theaters when people throw their garbage on the floor, like throw the popcorn container or the empty box of Junior Mints.
Right.
Or
it's like throw it away out there. Yeah.
Like they just either leave it at their seat or they chuck it on the floor because they know the cleaning crew is coming by. That bothers me. You brought it in. Take it out and throw it in the garbage. Be a conscientious person. Leave it like you found it is what you should do. Having said that, though, you can't clean popcorn off a floor. It's almost impossible to get it by hand. So.
Yeah. Eric says, my son always cleans up in the theater after himself. He saw some teens laughing and taking pictures of the mess they made once, and it stuck with him as a really crappy thing to do.
Yeah.
I love that.
True.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I don't try to make a mess, but I definitely bring my stuff out, like my empty cup, my empty popcorn bin or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes if you get a big one, you can get a refill on the way home and then you have more popcorn. But yeah, people need to act like human beings. And I see a lot of you really empathizing with the poor baby and that there's something wrong with the baby. The reason I'm laughing is because the guy was just losing his crap. I don't think that you should do that. And really, there's nothing that can be done. Look, if there was a cure for making crying babies stop crying the instant you want them to, we would know it by now. There isn't. Yeah, Kim says that bothers me too. Take it to the trash when you leave, slobs. Absolutely. Okay, so I thank everybody. I will be back tomorrow. Busy night, big night tonight, Kim. It is opening night for my daughter's play. What is your daughter's play? Did it already happen?
It opens on May 13th.
Yeah.
There are still tickets available at Cinnabar Theater in Petaluma.
Now, this isn't a school one. Like, my daughter's in her school play. Kim's daughter is in heaven.
Community theater.
Yes. But yeah, so it's opening night tonight. Be
So
running around. I know.
She's got a lead role.
So she's in Guys and Dolls, and she plays Sky Masterson. She wanted the role, and she got it. And she won't let me. I don't know. Your daughter's probably not like this. My daughter won't let me run lines with her. She thinks I'm too intense. Like, I give too many notes. I am beside myself excited.
Don't say it like that. Say it like this.
Oh yeah. Like, and I get it. I could be annoying. So she just runs lines with her brother, which is great. But I hear her singing last night, like from the front room, and I'm just dying to see her on stage.
Is it good? Is she good?
I feel like she sounds pretty good.
Awesome. I love it.
So I'm very, very excited. And we'll see.
Can you take video and show us some?
So here's the thing. Well, I'm going to try. So here's the other thing. She does not want me sitting in the front row. She wants me to be somewhere lost in the crowd.
Deal breaker. I got to be in the front.
I know. So, but no, I understand it. And again, it's not the only night, right? So she's doing it again tomorrow night.
Right.
So I want to be, but this is her first lead role. She has never had a role anywhere close to this size of a role ever. So I don't want to be an added pressure. And, and then she's like, and make sure grandma and grandpa don't stand up all the time. And I think she's just really nervous about being distracted. She wants to like lose herself in the role. So we're definitely, I think I'm going to be like in the middle and we'll see. I don't know. I just can't be in the front. She asked me and it's fine. I just want to see her perform. I am not a stage mom. I wish I could. I'm not that kind of stage mom. Let's say that. But I'm so excited. After the year that my daughter has had, I'm so excited.
She deserves something good.
Yeah, I was a little nervous that the stress and everything would kind of create an anxiety that made her have a health reaction. But she seems to be doing well. Practice makes the nerves go down. So yeah, I'll have many stories tomorrow about how that goes, but I'm very excited. Yeah. So
Murphy says, and exciting night for her daughter as well. It's the Little Shop of Horrors at Lee High School in San Jose, and her daughter's in the pit orchestra.
Nice.
So cool. Yeah.
See, and you just gotta enjoy all of these. And yes, I'm so excited. David Odell said, we're fighting. Go ahead. Yeah. Luck be a lady tonight. So that's one of the songs that my daughter is going to be singing. And so I'm very, very happy, very, very excited. And so that is coming tomorrow. All right. I don't know what I'm eating tomorrow. What should I eat tomorrow, people? Send me an email at thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and we'll try to figure out something to eat. I would like to be able to pick it up. Here's my rules. I'm really done with DoorDash and all the added expense. So I would love it if it was a place that was open earlier so I can go get it and have it ready to go. So they have to open before 11 if that's possible. Can I get that? It's National Chocolate Covered Nuts Day, I think, tomorrow.
Really?
Chocolate Covered Cashews Day.
It's National Pet CBD Day. Surprise Drug Test Day.
Tomorrow is National Rendering Day. Do you know what a rendering plant is?
Ew, yeah, no.
I know. I'm like, no, we
it's
don't need
National Tuna Rights Day. You could eat sustainable fish.
Oh, well, there you go. Let me give some thank yous because Calvin Wong just donated $20 with Andreas. Andreas, we love you.
Nice.
I hope that you are able to watch this on replay. We adore you. Our thoughts and hearts go out to all of your family and to you. Thank you so much, Calvin, for the $20 donation. Vilma with $5. Thank you. Wes with a $10 sticker. Linda with a $10 super sticker. Rick came in with $25. Thank you. And then Lori started us off with her condolences for Andreas and a $55 donation. Ronald, welcome to the Medorable team. Just became a monthly Patreon subscriber. Yes, indeed.
The kindness of everyone. It's just
you
touching.
Too. Yeah, you too can become a Medorable. Just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, and that's where you find all the links to everything. I appreciate you all. Friday is tomorrow. And until then, bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.